Yep. Not today, Michael. You are not going to ruin my mood today. All right?
Why is that?
Why is that? Because Bill D'Elia's coming on. That's why. Also, I'm in a great mood.
Excellent.
A car almost hit me. The guy honked at me because we were merging into the same lane. I could have flipped him off. You know what I did?
What?
Gave him the peace sign. And he was like, and I was like, peace, dude.
And then you ran him off the road.
I wish. But no, actually, I don't wish. No, you know what, Michael? I got to get the show started. First of all, thank you to Guayaki, our continued drink sponsor for the show. Remember that with every purchase of Guayaki, it helps sustain the Amazon rainforest, which is being deforested at a ridiculous rate. So not only do you get caffeinated organically, naturally, but you're also helping save orangutans. Win-win. Second, if you have an Alexa in your home, this is a brand new thing that Adobe Radio has with Alexa. You can basically enable Alexa hands-free from your home. All you got to do is first enable Adobe Radio by saying, you don't even have to push a button. Are we in the future? Yes. All you got to do is you got to say, Alexa, enable Adobe Radio. And you only have to do that once. Amazing. Next, you got to say, Alexa, play Adobe Radio with this With this clan? No, with this command. All you got to say is, Alexa, play Adobe Radio. You could be pooping, your parents could be fighting, and you just want some noise in the background to cover up the fighting, and boom, Adobe Radio's helping you mend those wounds. Did it get really real for you? I'm sorry. That's what we're here to do at Wesam's World. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited for our guest today. I had been wanting to work with him on For the People. Unfortunately, due to scheduling stuff, it wasn't able to work out, but he's here on Wesam's World. Thank you, Tom Verica, for making that connection. Bill D'Elia. Now, if that name sounds familiar, then it probably is, because he has worked as a director and producer on numerous shows. Let me just list some of them. Ally McBeal, Chicago Hope, Grey's Anatomy, How to Get Away with Murder, The Good Doctor, Grand Hotel, Monday Morning, Harry's Law, Boston Legal, Chicago Hope, and he is the co-creator of Judging Amy. He's been working in this business since the late 80s. He's an amazing human being. He comes from such a talented, hardworking immigrant family. His sons are extremely hardworking and talented. Chris D'Elia, comedian, actor, podcaster as well. Matt D'Elia, director, producer, and I don't think he has a podcast. No. Anyway, this guy. I am so excited to pick his brain, to talk to him about life, acting, filmmaking, storytelling. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Bill D'Elia. There's you. Those cameras, they're not filming, they're not recording anything. It's these bad boys right here. We've got higher quality on these.
Those.
These right here.
These two.
Oh yeah, well that's the one I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I see me right there.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's flipped towards you.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
That's okay.
I like looking at me.
I wanted to get different angles because I knew, you're a director, so.
Yeah, okay.
We were talking about, so I was from basically Syria, moved to New York. Brothers were born there. We moved to Oklahoma when I was 7 because my dad wanted to, make more money for the family, so we opened up a restaurant there.
So how old were you when you moved out of Syria?
1, maybe 2.
So you have no real memory of that?
No, but I visited before the war a bunch of times.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, let's keep this just a little bit close to your face. You can adjust it, yeah, so people can hear you. About a fist.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, just a fist distance should be fine.
Okay.
But yeah, so one of the things I was listening when you were on Dean Del Rey's podcast, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the exact same thing that happened to me. You talked about how your dad was an immigrant, right?
No, my dad was born in New York.
In New York, okay.
My grandfather was an immigrant.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And your dad had a newspaper business, right?
Yeah. My dad had one of those boxes in Manhattan on 33rd and 7th, those newsstands. I call them boxes. He was on that corner for 50 years. on the corner of 33rd and 7th.
That's amazing.
That's where I claim to have learned to direct.
That's exactly what I was trying to hit on.
Just sitting in that newsstand.
So our dad would make us. I started working in the restaurant when I was like 10 or 11, and he'd put us behind the register, start taking
Same
people's
thing.
orders,
Yeah, okay.
start sweeping, taking people's orders, and that helped me deal with people.
When you deal with people, it's the best job. When you have to interact with the public, it's just the best experience.
Oh yeah.
And especially as a kid, I was just terrified. I mean, I was just in this box in the middle of Manhattan, and people would just come up, and those faces would just come up and look at you and ask you things, and it was intimidating. I was 10. My dad would leave me in this box and say, "I'm going to get lunch," but he was just going to leave me alone.
Yeah.
So I'd learn.
Trial by fire.
Yeah.
It's the best thing.
This is going to sound very cruel, but I don't think it is.
Okay.
This experience is emblazoned in me. He left me and he said, "I'm going to get lunch. I'll be back in about 20 minutes. You know what to do." It was not rush hour, because rush hour was like step aside, kid. It was during the middle of the day. And not much happened. People would buy a magazine or whatever. And he said, "Whatever you do, just don't make change. We're not a bank. You sell something, you sell something. But if somebody wants to make change, you don't do it." So he leaves. 10 minutes later, guy comes up, says, "Hey, Willie, I need a $10 bill for this roll of quarters." And I don't want to talk to this adult, and I say to him, "Yeah, well, I'm not supposed to make change. You can't make change." Yeah. I know. You're not supposed to make change. I work at the newsstand around the corner. My name's Johnny. I'm good friends with your dad. Nobody makes change. It's not something we do. But I just need $10 for this roll of quarters. Just give it to me. Your dad'll be fine. So I give him the $10. He gives me the roll of quarters. My dad comes back 10 minutes later. He says, "What happened?" I said, "Nothing." He says, "Did you sell anything?" I said, "No. Your friend Johnny came by." "Johnny? Who's Johnny?" Your friend Johnny." "Johnny? What did Johnny want?" He needed a $10 bill for this roll of quarters." "What roll? What? You made change? Didn't I tell you not to make change?" I said, "Well, it was your friend." He said, "Let me see the roll of quarters." I give him the roll of quarters. He takes it. He smashes it down on the newsstand. It breaks open, all slugs. Not a single quarter in there. And now I hang my head, and I'm just sort of ready to cry. And I hear him laughing, and he's laughing with somebody. And I look up, and it's him and Johnny. Him and Johnny was like, "Yeah, the kid will never do that again, right? We got him good. We get him good."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a stunt. My dad pulled a stunt on me.
That's amazing.
It was cruel, and it was fucking great.
What a learning experience,
I
right?
pull that shit on my kids all the time, shit like that.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
As you should.
Yeah, because it prepares you for life.
Yeah.
You're going to get fucked.
Absolutely. But there's a safety net there when you do it, you know?
Well, yeah. So anyway, that's a true story.
Dude, I love that. We might have to do that with our kids in the future. Something like that. You then, man, you've had, I love the part in the podcast too when you talk about how you joined the Army.
Yeah. Well, I didn't join. They came and got me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What's the story behind that?
I don't want to join anything. If you want me, come get me. I've been that way with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really a joiner.
Yeah.
But any group of anything, I'm not sure I want to be a part of it.
Yeah? Why is that?
I don't know. I just like to be just whatever I want to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah. But you got drafted. And
Yeah, it was at a college, and my first job was at a television station in upstate New York, WENY in Elmira, New York. Mm-hmm. I did everything. I wrote the commercials, produced the commercials. I was the puppet for the kids show. I was Beauregard the dog. And I got my dad calls me, And he says, hey, you better get down here. You got your draft notice. I say, send it to me. So he sends it to me, and I see I have to report to Fort Hamilton, Brooklyn in just a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I find the local draft board in Elmira, and I go down there with the notice, and I say, listen, I just moved here, and I should have notified you, but I got this notice at my old address in New York, and I don't live there anymore. So is there a way you can just take this and send it to me later, like from here? He said, yeah, we'll take it. We'll draft you next month. So I have a party. I got a month. I figure, I'm going to in the Army in a month. Nixon comes out and announces that he's suspending the draft, and they're going to a lottery system. So I have another party. I'm like, fuck, man, I got a reprieve. If I draw a good lottery number, I don't have to go.
Yeah. This is for the Vietnam War?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lottery happens, and I'm number 256, which means I don't have to go. I have another party. So there's 3 parties on one draft notice. And now I'm 256. They'll never get to number 256.
Yeah.
The following month, I get my notice. You're drafted. I'm like, this is bullshit. So I go down to the draft board, and I say, hey, my birthday is March 23rd. I'm number 256.
Yeah.
I got this notice to appear in January. Obviously, this is a mistake. No computers. The guy, I don't know if you remember the Tim Conway character he used to play. This little guy, he used to play this character that shuffled off to do work in the background. And there was no computer, so this guy would shuffle off to the back, come back with these files, open them up, and say, "Oh no, you were drafted in under the old law, so you still have to go." I'm on the bus with 1s, 2s, 4s, and I'm number 256. Everybody's like, "Oh, so you enlisted? Oh, fuck you! No, I just lucky enough to be on the old law."
Wow.
So I went in, but when I went in, part of what happens is you go through all this physical training, obviously, but there's a big mental component to it. A series of tests you have to take, and there's a warehouse full of troops, and they call us all in. And the first test you get handed out, it's like hundreds of guys in this warehouse. The first test that you take is like basic English, basic math, simple stuff. The next day, they come in, or a couple of days later, they come in, they announce who's going to take the next series of tests. It took about a day before I realized, oh, all the stupid guys are being left. Then you get competitive. You want to be the last guy called. You just want to be, even though it's the Army and you have no idea whether this is good or bad for you. The test just got harder and harder and harder. And the last day, it was me and about a dozen other guys. The last day, the test was clearly, will you be able to learn Vietnamese? It was a foreign language. It was not Vietnamese. It was not any language. It was a made-up language. Here's how you say this. Here's the pluperfect of that. Here's the past tense of this. Read this. And we were given like an hour to study the language. And then we got the test. I was in the middle of the first question when the bell went off and we were done. That was that hard.
Wow.
I just couldn't do it. The cut to the end of basic training. You have the analysis of your tests. So because I didn't understand what was going on, I stayed in the back of the line. So all these guys are going in, being interviewed, and they come out, and every single guy was saying shit like, hey, I did pretty good. I'm going to be a chaplain's assistant. I did good in math. They're going to put me in accounting. Hey, I did okay in the mechanical part. They're going to put me in the motor pool. I'm like, there's a fucking war going on. Not a single guy's coming out of there saying, hey, they're going to give me a rifle. Not a single guy's coming out saying, they're going to put me in artillery. I said, this is a bunch of bullshit. So when it was my turn, I get in there, and I remember I was never so scared. I gripped the sides of the chair. I looked at this guy, and I said, television, film, I went to school for that, and so I'm sure that's why I got drafted. Like, you want to put me in something like that? He was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I said, well, like the Signal Corps or something like that. Like, you need guys like to run a radio or something. He was like, no, we don't have anything like that. He turned around and yelled at the guy behind him, we got anything like TV, radio? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Again, no computers. He takes out this big book. I started just bullshitting. I just started, who are you? Where are you from?
Oh, you didn't even know?
No, I didn't know this guy at all.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea if he was a captain or a private. He had his jacket off. I didn't know shit about it. By the time I'm done, I know he's from Buffalo. I know he has a sister. I know his favorite food. I know everything about this guy. And he takes out this book and he says, look at this. Television production specialist, 84F20. Is that you? He shows me the book. Yeah, that's me. That's what I should do. That's obviously why I got drafted. And he takes out this. He's got this form where he's checking off all the test results, and he says, "You see this? You see this little box here? If I check this, you'll definitely get it. If I don't check it, it's just a recommendation." Again, I don't know if he's lying, but I got to go with this.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you check that? So he checks it, 84F20. At the end of basic training, we're all assembled. The sergeant's up there announcing who's doing what. Everybody was going infantry, artillery, infantry. He gets to my name, it's like, Delia, 84F20. What the fuck is that? He turns around to the guy behind him. And I got it. I got sent to Fort Benning, Georgia, and I made training tapes for 2 years.
Dude.
Proper care and maintenance of M16. Guard duty was a big one, parts 1 and 2. Yeah.
Can we get those on YouTube or?
No, not anymore. I think there's still boring soldiers everywhere.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, well, that's how I did it.
And then shortly after that, after the Army and everything like that, there's probably a larger gap than I'm realizing. You were more on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, I was a New Yorker.
Yeah, New Yorker for a while. And what was caused the move to the West Coast again?
I wanted to stay on the East Coast. I just never. This town's full of New Yorkers that were never going to move here, and I'm now one of them. And I was never going to move here. I just love New York, and I still do. And any excuse I get to go back there, I go back there.
You like the energy. You like the crowds and everything.
Yeah. Also, it's a great place to be anonymous. You can just sort of like be on any street corner and nobody knows you're fucking there.
Oh, okay.
It's rare that I can walk around New York without a smile on my face. I just feel so comfortable in New York, and I just wanted to be there. So I got a job at an ad agency, and I became a producer of commercials. And what that meant was pretty easy to me.
Yeah.
You got the storyboard and the copy from the writer and the art department, and then you find directors and you bid out the job, and then you supervise the job. I'm like, what kind of job is this? I'm just sort of sitting around supervising people, and I'm watching a guy direct something. And I would watch these directors, and I would think, they were all like nasty. They would yell and scream and demand things, and I thought two things. Whoa. Doesn't look that hard.
Yeah.
And 2, can you do this and be a nice guy? Like, I bet you could do this and be a nice guy.
Yeah.
So I decided that I wanted to direct, and I wanted to test that thesis out, and would I be any good at it? And also, it seemed like a real job. This whole thing about being an agency producer didn't feel like a real job to me. So I went to, it was a small ad agency that I worked at called Sawden and Bess. It was very similar to what the agency in Mad Men felt like.
Ah.
It was really small. There was a handful of people in charge. We all knew each other. We had a couple of big accounts like Kinney Shoes, and at the time there was a fast food thing called Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips.
Yeah.
And we had the Woolworth and Woolco account. So I went to the president of the agency and I said, look, you're paying directors like $2,000 a day. That's what these guys were getting at the time. And I could save you that money. Let me direct the commercials. And I carved out a little interagency production unit where I made the low-budget commercials. And that was successful, so I started to direct the bigger commercials. And once I had a little bit of a reel, I was like, okay, I'm out of here. I want to go do this for myself.
So smart.
And that was 1979, and I've worked for myself ever since.
Dude, where do you get this tenacity from? Because I share that with you, but for I have my reasons for it. But where does this come from for you?
It's, I think it's, that's a tough question to answer, but I think it's in part not wanting to conform to something. In part, it's I always felt, and I've instilled this in my kids, and my dad somehow was smart enough to instill it in me. What he would tell me is, I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care what happens in terms of your professional life. And by the way, he probably didn't say it this eloquently. He said, but just figure out what you like. Figure out who you are. Find something that makes sense to you for those reasons that it feeds you, and you'll be happy for the rest of your life. If you're lucky, not only will you be happy, but you'll make a lot of money doing what you're good at. But find something that you're good at and be that. Find something that you can just individually be good at. And I just took that to heart, and I always felt that way. And it was always a fairly easy decision to kind of look at the landscape and say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. It's a way of being in touch with yourself that I think it's a selfish thing too. It's a certain selfishness. It's like, I don't want to do that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And you just pursue it. I remember when because I did it again, I had a successful commercial company, and I decided that I was in my 30s now, and I realized I could see the future. I was going to be 50 years old. I was going to be making commercials for potato chips and hamburgers, and I thought I was a filmmaker. And so I optioned a novel, and I adapted the novel, and I raised the money. It sounds so simple, but I got out of advertising. I got out of the commercial directing business, and I directed a movie because I realized that what I was doing is not what I wanted to do, and I needed to keep growing, and I needed to do something different. And it's just a way of being in touch with yourself, really, and then having the tenacity or the balls. I know why people don't do what they want to do, because It's fucking hard. It's fucking hard
and
to
scary.
do what you want to do. It's hard because the rest of the world will conspire to tell you what they want you to do. And the job is to resist that. The job is, the life job is to resist letting the world tell you what it wants you to do. It's just not something I'm interested in. And the other thing I realized is that as you get older, when you're young, when you're in your 20s, you have this huge road that you're looking at with a lot of side streets that you can take. And as you age, that road gets narrower and narrower and narrower with fewer side roads. So while the road was wide, knowing it was going to narrow, I wanted to make my choices for me. And now my road's narrow, and I'm happy with the choices I made.
Yeah.
Because I'm on my own road.
Yeah. That connection, that awareness that you have to have with your self, does that also connect with something spiritual on a personal level, or are you not spiritual or anything connecting to a higher power of any sort?
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
So it's all internal.
It's all personal, yeah.
Yeah, very
And
interesting.
I think that's everybody's job. Look, I like to speak to college kids. I gave a commencement address at Ithaca a couple of years ago, which was my alma mater. And I tried to impress that on kids, that the important thing is not to decide what you want to be, because you're already somebody. You're already who you're going to be. Just keep figuring it out. I remember when I was in my 20s, people would say, just be yourself. And I would think, who the fuck is that? What do you mean myself? What does that mean? But I took it seriously to explore what it meant. And when I figured it out, and I'm still figuring it out because it's a life process, you figure out who you are, what you like, what you're good at, and just pursue it. Whatever you can do to make that happen.
Absolutely.
It's not spiritual as much as it's an individuality.
That's real quick, Peyton. How much are we good on time? We got 5. Okay. I'll just end it on this, and then we'll take a quick break. That's something I've been last maybe 2 or 3 years. I've been not struggling with, but it's a question that's kept popping up into my mind. I go on my little morning runs and hikes on a trail here in Griffith Park, and I like to meditate. And in that meditation space, I'm trying to figure out, like, who am I? Who
Right.
am I? You know, like, who am I to my brother? Who am I to you? Who am I to my family, to my friends, to people who don't know me? And then who am I to myself is the biggest.
That's
That's-
most important.
Yeah, that's something I'm trying to figure out still.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets a little scary when you start thinking that inwardly.
Well, it is, but it's the thing to do. It's what will lead you to happiness. If you just keep going inward, what do I like? What am I here? What am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
If you're constantly asking yourself those questions, you're going to get somewhere that you want to be.
Yeah.
And you don't know where that is. You just need to make those choices based on the now of it and who you are right now.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with some more Bill
And
D'Elia.
I'll be right here.
Yeah. Bill, you must be so proud of your sons.
Both of them, yes.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, accomplished filmmaker.
Yeah.
That's and you said he basically did what it took you years to do in just a shorter amount of time for Matt's film.
Yeah. Matt had an interesting journey, which he continues to be on. And he got out of college and got very sick.
Oh.
He was pretty much laid up for almost 2 years. He had a bad sinus infection that led to throat problems. He had to have a couple operations.
Oh my goodness.
And he was ill for like a couple of years. And during that time, he began to conceive of that movie, American Animal. And he went and just did what I did when I was 40 years old. He just raised the money, wrote this movie, and raised the money and made this movie. And since then, he's got a series in development, another movie he's making this year. He's writing another movie. He's written a couple of movies. Yeah, he's on the path.
That's
My show
amazing.
business family.
Dude, I'd love to talk with Matt because there's not much.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I'd love to bring him on and talk about that because that sounds like an interesting journey, to say the least.
Yeah. So he's doing great. And Chris, of course, we all know.
He's okay.
Yeah,
We don't need to say much about him.
He always just wanted to make people laugh. He just didn't give a shit about anything else. And it was so hard to get him to focus on anything else. He was just a horrible student. And he dropped out of school after like 9 months. And unfortunately got cast in a movie where he made some money, so he never went back to school. And the movie was a dud. And he sort of kicked around for a while trying to be an actor and couldn't get anywhere. And called me one day and said, I'm going to try stand-up. It was his New Year's Eve resolution. And I remember on the phone thinking, oh, shit, that's the end of the road. I'm going to be fucking supporting him for the rest of his goddamn life. I know how hard it is. I mean, you can't just stand up there and make people laugh. I know a lot of funny people, and they can't do that. I mean, that's just incredible that he was even going to try that. And he went with a bunch of guys. I think it was January 2nd, 2000 and whatever it was. And they were all going to just goof around and try this open mic night. He didn't want me to go. And one of the guys that went with him called me the next day. He said, "Did Chris tell you what happened?" I said, "No, what happened?" He said, "You know, we all got up there. We try to make people laugh, but it's an open mic night, so people are drinking, people are talking, people are eating. Nobody gives a shit that we're up there." Chris got up there, and within a minute, people stopped talking, people stopped eating, people stopped drinking, people were laughing, and 4 minutes later, they were just paying attention to him. They're laughing their asses off. And from that day to now, it's just been that for him. You know, it's just...
Well, one of the things I love seeing as a person and an artist who came out here 10 years ago, August 1st, 10 years ago, to come out here, pursue being a television actor and film actor, I love seeing other artists and professionals, watching them in the beginning of their career and seeing them grow and grow and grow and grow. It gets me excited and I get happy for them. And Chris is a prime example of one of those people, because I remember being a fan of his stand-up in the beginning, and then he was like on Fighter and the Kid, and he was just a guest, and I was like, oh no, holy shit, he's really funny. And then when he started his podcast, I rarely laugh out loud when I'm watching TV or listening to podcasts. I'll just go, oh, okay, that's funny. I technically see how that's funny. Right. Dude, there were a few episodes where I'm crying. I'm in the car. I probably look like a crazy person listening to it. Yeah. And by the way, your son has made sayings that has become part of the vernacular, the zeitgeist for, I don't want to say millennials, but young people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you must be very proud, and I just wanted to hit on that because you must have done something right raising them, so kudos.
Well, it's the same thing that my dad taught me, I instilled in them. So, and it was very important to me that they find their way for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to me that they both wound up in this business because I didn't expect that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Bill, since you are a director, real quick, I saw a commercial recently that it made me blood red mad. I don't know how to explain it. It made me so angry, and it's such a curveball, and so I wanted to see if you've seen it before, and I wanted to get your take on it. And let me know if you've already seen it. Michael, is it all ready to go? Cool. Can you hear it through the...
Yeah, I hear it.
Okay, cool.
Oh, this is Kevin? Is this Kevin?
Yes, I think so.
I hate this. I hate this.
You hate it too?
I hate it.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
I absolutely won't watch it. Yeah.
Okay, we don't have to...
I'm turning it off.
Yeah,
I'm turning it off.
It's Kevin, right? That's Kevin?
Kevin, wake up.
Kevin's getting born, and then Kevin's there when mom dies, right? That's the...
No, actually.
Oh, no.
No, that's Kevin, though, no? Let's see it then.
No, let's see it.
Crap.
Oh, now I want to see that thing he hates.
That's not Kevin?
No.
Hang on, I have to pull it up now.
Oh, yeah, is it?
I turned it off.
You turned it off? Okay.
Give me a sec.
No worries. Yeah, this commercial I saw the other day, and I remember watching it, and at the end of it, I just go, what the fuck?
Wait, this is not the one where Kevin grows up and mom's at her deathbed?
No.
No.
Oh, what is this one?
It's a commercial for something.
Yeah, and
I don't think that anyone can guess from watching it.
No.
I just gotta find it.
And it's
then
a
let me
little...
see it again.
It's a little ridiculous and inappropriate, like...
Well,
for
then
what
I'm
the
thinking
business
of something
is.
else.
Yeah.
There's a commercial where a kid is born. Mm-hmm. They name him Kevin. And I think the entire commercial is just the mom saying Kevin's name as Kevin grows up.
What?
Kevin, stop that, Kevin. And then at the end of the commercial, mom's on her deathbed, and Kevin's there, and she says... Kevin, which is the last thing she says, and then she fucking dies. And so what's this one?
Okay.
That's not Kevin, huh?
No. kind of want to name him Kevin now, though.
Well, he's Kevin to me. Oh yeah, nobody talks in this one.
Yeah. By the way, beautifully shot. We'll send you guys a link for those of you listening on the radio or the podcast.
See if you can guess though. Like, what is this trying to sell you?
Yeah, as you're watching this, what would you guess?
Insurance?
Okay, good guess.
That's a good one.
Something medical?
That makes sense.
That would be appropriate. Okay. By the way, longest commercial ever.
Right about now, I just hope somebody dies.
Well,
That's usually what I hope when something is sappy. Okay, so we're gonna watch his whole life, I guess, huh?
yeah, we are.
He's gonna get married now. He's gonna have kids of his own.
Well, maybe. Oh, we got heartbreak.
Oh.
Just got dark, Bill.
This is a commercial?
Yeah.
It is a commercial. Any guesses?
I give up.
Yeah. This is. Yeah. By the way, we've got about a minute left, or 30 seconds left on this, Michael. Right?
Yeah,
How
like 30
long
seconds.
is this?
2 minutes something for a commercial.
Ready for the big reveal?
Every day, life asks you the same question. What are you gonna try today?
That's hilarious. What did she say? Every day you ask.
Every
the
day.
same-
Life asks you.
the biggest questions.
And then it's a Subway commercial.
Subway.
It's a Subway, Bill.
How does that make any sense? Who sat around a table and thought of this? You know. Every time I see something like this, I always think about that.
Yeah.
Somebody sat around a table and pitched this idea, and somebody else said, "Yeah, that's a good idea."
Dude, I'm hot. That's how angry I am.
That's
Every time I see
insane.
it. By the way, if they would have
I've never
stopped
seen
it
that.
as he puts on his thing and just walks out the door, it would have been a great short film.
Yeah.
It's shot beautifully, but like Subway? You guys don't make like artisan sandwiches. You're not baking the bread fresh there. It's not like you're taking the hog and like it's not like everything is curated there and it's like quality and it's Subway. Drives me crazy, man.
I don't know.
But it's doing its job
I
because we're
sup-
talking about Subway.
I suppose it's an improvement over the guy that went to jail for child pornography.
That's
I
true.
suppose it's an improvement over Jared. It's certainly better than that.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, man, like you said, there's a whole process that goes with these things, and somebody okayed that. Now I want to know what the Kevin thing is, though. What's that for?
Kevin, and I don't know what it's for, but I think it's for some life insurance thing, which is why I thought this was that.
Yeah.
Kid gets born, and mom names him. They name him Kevin. Kid grows up. They keep calling Kevin's name. Different reasons for saying Kevin's name. Dad dies, and Kevin's at the funeral, and Kevin with mom, and then mom dies, and mom's last words are on her deathbed. She's looking at Kevin.
Yeah.
And she says it as her last breath. So that's what I thought that was. And that commercial.
I can
makes
see
me mad.
why it's just the thumbnail on this
The beginning of it looked the same.
very similar.
Yeah.
It's not the actress from Home Alone saying Kevin, is it? That's the character's name.
No.
Kevin!
Probably not.
This kind of correlates into something I like to ask a lot of the guests who come on here. You said in the podcast as well, you've been broke twice, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How the hell do you get out of those situations? Not physically, but like in that mental state. You know what I mean? When you don't have anything, and you're like, okay, how do I get up from this?
It's scary, but the last time, when I made the movie, and I was waiting for the movie to get released or somebody to pick it up or somebody to see it so I could get a job. And I was just fast running out of dough. And I would think, okay, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have made this movie. I shouldn't have made these choices. I have to probably do something else. I have to get like a real job and be somebody else. And then the answer would always be, I can't do anything else. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to just apply for a job and be somebody else that I'm not. And I would constantly go around on that and think, well, I got to get a job. Yeah. But this is what I'm supposed to do. I knew that this was what I was supposed to do. So you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, cry at night, watching the kids sleep and wondering what you've fucking done. Because I had the whole thing. I had the house, the 2 cars, the 2 kids, the wife, and I was doing it. And I was broke. And I was looking at that bank account go down to nothing. I was cashing in. I had an insurance policy I cashed in just to get $15,000. I took a commercial. I swore I would never direct another commercial. I took a commercial for a hardware store in Florida. I flew to Florida to make this hardware store commercial. And that was like the bottom of it. And I had a car that I would look at, and I had when I was making money making commercials, I had bought a Mercedes. And that was a status symbol for me. And I would look at that car and I would think, I'm going to have to sell the car. And the day I sell the car, my heart's going to break. I'm going to hear it. I'm going to know that I fucked up for real when I have to sell that car. And I was able to hang on to the car, and I started to direct television. And that car got shipped out here when we moved out here. And the car eventually fell apart, and I still have the key. I have the key, and it's taped onto a piece of cardboard, and it's got the date that I bought the car and the day that I let the car go, because that car meant everything to me. That car meant, okay, I didn't make it, or I did make it.
Gosh. There was a... Okay, I got a Tesla, and... I kind of felt that after the show was canceled. I was like, I might have to sell this car. But the tax breaks help. So yeah, but no, I.
But you led me into that story. But the it's just that. Look, I've been fortunate in that I'm married now to the same woman. If we make it to April, it'll be 48 years.
Whoa!
And that having a partner that believed in me the way I believed in me made all the difference in the world. I don't know I could have done it. And when I first quit the ad agency to go out on my own, she was pregnant with Chris. And she said, why don't you just quit and go do what you want to do? And I said, well, you're pregnant. We have a house. She said, so if it doesn't work, we sell the house. I'm still going to be pregnant. I'm still going to give birth to a kid. Wow. But I'd rather have you happy than have you miserable. And that was a pivotal moment for me. And that helped me tremendously. I can't say enough about it.
Wow. That's amazing, man. That's a huge blessing.
But
that's great motivation too.
But every day you get up and you just think about, what can I do to further this? What can I do to move this along? And you just inch forward. And eventually, look, I got my first episode of television was Dookie Howser, MD. Yeah. Stephen Bochco saw the movie. He liked the movie. He gave me a shot. when I couldn't afford to stay in California. It shot here on the Fox lot. I couldn't afford to stay here through editing, so I went back to New Jersey. We lived in New Jersey at the time. And I would edit over the phone. I would talk to the editor over the phone. And the day that they were going to screen my cut, I said to Ellie, my wife, I said, let's take the kids and be out all day. I don't want to be home. I don't want to get this call. No cell phones. You had an answering machine.
Yeah.
And so
What's that? No, I'm kidding.
we went out. We went out, and I said, we got to stay out till at least 10:30 because it's 7:30 in L.A. and nobody's going to call anybody after 7:30. But up till 7:30, I might get a call, and I don't want to know what anybody thinks about this. We came home around 10:30, 20 to 11. Kids were exhausted. Put them to bed. There's the number 9 on my answering machine. 9 messages. I hit the button, and it was everybody from Stephen Bochco on down, telling me how much they loved the episode, how great they thought it was. Oh. And all I remember thinking was, oh, wasn't that good? Really? Really? And the next thing I got was Northern Exposure, and I became one of their favorite guys, and that was it. It was like being a made man in the mob.
Yeah.
You get in that door, and then suddenly you're one of the guys. And that led me to David Kelly, and that was that.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you what, Tom spoke so highly about you, and so, it was a bummer that we didn't get to work together, but hopefully sometime.
Well,
in the
one of
future.
these days.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I've got to ask you, since you've probably seen something, what is something you've probably seen a bunch of callbacks, auditions, people testing, right? Any pet peeves you see actors do in the room, stuff that you were like, oh my God, please, like.
There's a big one.
Please.
If you dress the part. I just don't do that. Just don't dress the part.
Like they come in dressed as a
like
doctor.
You're gonna be a doctor. You come in with a lab coat. It's not helping. It's just not helping. That's probably my biggest pet peeve.
Anything you look for in particular, or just?
It's always different. What I try to do is be present, because it's so important to that actor coming in. You have to make it that important to you.
Yeah.
And what happens is often somebody will come in and you'll think right off the bat, oh, this is not what I thought. And you have to get rid of that thought and let the person do what they do. When I was casting, I got a couple of stories for you. When I was casting the movie, The Feud is the movie that I made that got me out here and got me out of commercials. There was a part that I wrote for a character in his 50s, big, strapping, handsome guy who was having affair. He was in charge of a police department, having affairs with different women. And guy comes in, he's in his 30s, to read for this part, and he walks in, I think, well, this is clearly wrong. He was also small in stature. He was not a big man, not particularly handsome. He sits down, he reads, and I'm like, holy fuck, this guy's great. I got to rethink this part, and I got to give him this part. It was Stanley Tucci.
Oh.
Before he was Stanley Tucci. I mean, he was just another actor coming into audition. And I just had to revise the part. I just gave him a little gray hair and rewrote it for him because he was that good. Wow. And those are the kind of things that are sometimes difficult in television, because in television you have so many levels of people. You have the writer, the studio, the network, all looking for what their idea is. Yeah. And sometimes you have to fight for somebody. And again, on this same movie, this guy came in and I don't know what it was about him, but he wasn't getting it. And I said to him, do me a favor. I think this guy stutters. Can you stutter? Like, what if you stuttered? and he did it again. It was great, and I rewrote the part for him to stutter.
Oh.
And on the other end of the spectrum, I'm casting Boston Legal, and we're in the room. It's about 100 degrees out. A guy comes in for the part of a lawyer. He's drenched. I mean, he's soaking. He's got a tie on, but he's just drenched. And he walks in. I said, "What the fuck happened to you?" He said, "Well, my car broke down at the exit, and I walked here." Well, the exit's about a mile away. Wow. I said, "You walked here in this heat, dressed like that?" He said, "Yeah. I had an audition. I had to make it." I said, "You got the part." I just gave him the part. I mean, like, he's that fucking passionate about walking to here. You got to give him the part. I say, "I don't care how good you are. You got the part."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And he was good.
That's good. Can you imagine? He's
he
not that good.
good.
You're like, "Ah, boy. I got to rewrite this part too." How much time we got left, Ben?
Yeah, 4 minutes.
4 minutes? Cool. We'll take another quick break, and we'll be back with some listener questions, and we'll wrap it up with Bill.
Listener questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
I think it's extremely difficult for an actor to walk into a room full of strangers and just do your thing and be present without worrying about it. But you have to not worry about it. You have to just look. Getting back to Chris again, he always wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
And he wasn't getting any parts. He suddenly became successful. He became successful as a stand-up comedian, and he started getting parts. And it wasn't just because now he was a little bit of a name. It was because, and I talked to him about this, it was because I know I can make a bunch of strangers laugh in a room. And I don't care anymore when I walk into that room because I know I don't care who they are. I just know I can entertain them. And he started to get work. And
there's a confidence in your ability, though.
well, the audition process is different than doing the job, and there's a certain something required in the audition process that isn't required when you get to the set, and vice versa. And I don't know what that something is, but it's our job to be present enough to recognize, oh, maybe this guy could do it. You know.
Yeah. You give a little bit of leeway?
Try to.
Yeah.
Try to. Casting's harder now than it used to be because you're constantly looking at links as opposed to being in the room. Oh. You go into a room with a casting director most of the time now, and that casting director, if they like what you did, sends me a link, and I won't get to meet you until unless I think, well, let's call back for this role, or if it's a pilot, you certainly will be in the room. But on an episode-by-episode basis, you're just looking at links of people. And sometimes I'll call that person up and say, hey, try this, try that. I've done that before, too.
A majority of my auditions now have become self-tapes.
Yeah. You don't even see anybody in the room. And I missed that because part of it was there were days where you'd be casting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's hot in the room. You're in the room with several people, and you're fighting falling asleep. You're literally like, I don't want to fall asleep when this actor walks in the room. I gotta stay awake. And magical things can happen in those situations. I was casting years ago with the director Michael Schultz. I wasn't directing. This actor comes in, and he reads the part. He's terrible. And I think, oh, this guy's just got to go. I mean, he's just got to go. I don't want anybody in this room to say anything to this guy because that means he'll stay, and he's got to go.
He's got to go.
And so Michael Schultz, the director, says, let me ask you a question. Now I hate Michael Schultz, and I want him to leave the room, and I want to kill him. And Michael says to this actor, hey, do me a favor. And every word that Michael speaks to me is just like fingers on a blackboard. Just shut the fuck up, Michael. Just let this guy go. He's not going to get the part.
Yeah.
Michael says to this actor, hey, do it for me again. And this time, I want you to think that you're a gay man. I don't want to know you're gay. I don't want any outward manifestations stereotypically of what that means or what that might mean. And now I'm looking at Michael like, what the fuck are you going with this? He said, just imagine that you're a gay man. The guy does it again. He's great. He gets the part. I say to Michael, what the fuck did you see when that guy came in here and read that made you give him that note? He said, I didn't see anything. He just reminded me of a friend of mine that was gay. That was fantastic.
Wow.
But you miss those opportunities to see something
Yeah.
when you're in the room, when you're doing things by link all the time. And that's what's happening all the time now. And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
I like being in the room. I prefer to
It's
do
just
in
better.
the room
It's just better.
rather than self-tape. Even
It's
though I've
just
booked
better.
off a couple self-tapes.
Well, I'm sure you have,
But
and I'm sure, and
I'd rather
it
be in the
does
room.
happen, but I miss that.
Yeah.
And if you're doing a pilot, you're doing a movie, you're certainly going to be in the room. But on an episode-to-episode basis, you're casting guest stars off tape.
I got a question for you. Sometimes I'll go into a callback or producer session. Everybody's dead. Like, I'm talking about
Yeah,
everybody. Like, and I'm like, hey, what's up? How's everybody doing?
yeah, that blows.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Who am I reading with? Awesome. Great. No, who's running this thing? Do you know
Yeah.
why does that happen sometimes?
Boredom.
Okay.
Just show me. You know, this attitude of just show me.
Okay.
I try to break that when somebody comes in the room, like, where are you from? What are you doing? You know, talk a little bit about, you know, what's going on.
Okay.
But I think it's just I can't explain it. It's just
Okay, yeah.
because I don't do it. But
I don't need like a whole like big conversation before I start. I just want to know who's running this
Yeah,
thing.
who's in charge, yeah.
Because I'm like, and sometimes I am like, okay, this has happened before. There's probably 5 people in the room. It's a producer session.
and who's who?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I've just gotten 5 not different notes, but everybody's adding their own note, and I'm like, okay, who's the director? Who's the EP? Who's the creator? And this was like
Well,
early on. And
That's odd because
Okay.
that usually doesn't happen. I mean, you always try to filter the notes through the director.
Okay.
The director has to lead that session.
Yeah.
And then if he's done, say, does anybody else have anything to say? Or anybody else want to try something? Anybody else want to say something? But that's just wrong.
Yeah.
That
okay.
shouldn't happen.
Dude, you should have seen my face. I was a young actor too, and I'm getting
That
like,
shouldn't
I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Like, don't know.
No. Look, people used to eat and drink in casting sessions. You'd walk in and I'd be eating a sandwich. Like, how fucking disrespectful is that?
Wow.
They've now that's a rule. You can't do it. Thank God. But people would just be eating. Who knows when the last time you ate? Like, you come in, it's like, you want a French fry? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like, it was just terrible.
That's weird. Mr. Michael, do we have any listener questions?
We do.
Great. Let's hear 'em.
The first one is, Bill, what's it like being a father while also still being an artist? How do you balance the two? Or how did you balance the two?
Who says that I do?
Who's the question from?
It's from Isaiah.
Isaiah
Adams.
Adams. Okay.
Isaiah, listen. I've always thought that I have 2 jobs. One is the family. The other is the profession. And sometimes one gets favored over the other. Sometimes the family suffers because of your job. Sometimes the job suffers because of your family. The constant balance is deciding which one's more important right now. generally you lean towards the family, but sometimes the family suffers. If I consider it if I consider that I have two jobs like that, then it becomes a little easier.
Dig it.
Awesome.
Dig it.
Now the next two are from Alex Gorski, and the first one is there anything that you ever dreamed of doing that you haven't done yet?
How about no?
All right. Simple. I love it. You're living the life, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone way past where I thought I would ever go, and I've not thought about it much. It was just really like we were talking earlier. It's just like one step at a time down that road that, as I said, just gets narrower and narrower. And recognizing that it's going to get narrower and narrower, you just make those choices every day. And so I've been happy with the choices I've made.
Excellent.
Great.
Then the next one is, how do you manage stress?
You don't get stressed.
Who's asking that?
Alex.
Is that Alex again?
Yeah.
Alex, you're a pain in my ass.
How do you manage these questions? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I like stress. I enjoy it. My blood pressure is consistently low, and in my profession, it should be high. I mean, there's a certain calmness I have in the midst of all this stress. I have a knowledge of this one basic fact that everybody should have the knowledge of. I don't know why this is particularly unique, or even if it is. Things will go wrong. Things will go wrong. To expect that they won't is folly. So when they go wrong, I relax because there it is. There's the thing that went wrong. I didn't know what it was going to be, but there it is. Okay, now I can relax now that I know what it is. When you're in production, the thing you try to do the most is prepare for everything that could go wrong. And you anticipate everything and you think about everything. But there's going to be something else. And that something else, when it shows up, makes me calm. I can't explain it any other way. Alex.
I dig it. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Dude, I wanna end today on something that I found this article that they did from the magazine of William Patterson University.
Yeah.
They did a little article on you.
I got my master's degree in communications from that school.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Barbara Martin,
Yeah.
thanks for doing the interview. Shout out to Barbara. Couldn't find her Instagram handle. The webpage looked a little dated, so I don't know when this was
It
done.
was when I was doing Ally McBeal, so it was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
2000, probably 19 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. You said, I love this saying. Find something that is a part of you. Find a job that you're good at and that keeps you happy. And if you're really lucky, they'll pay you a lot of money for it. But most of all, don't give up, because nobody cares if you want to be a writer or a director or a producer. There are lots of good writers, directors, and producers out there. I always tell young people that you need 3 things to succeed. First, perseverance, perseverance, and perseverance. If you stick to that and get into the business, then what you need will change. The 3 things then become perseverance, perseverance, and talent. You need talent to get to the next level. Finally, those 3 things become perseverance, talent, and talent. Somewhere along the line, talent becomes the major component, but you will always need perseverance.
Yeah, I've said that a lot.
You have, and I like that you've said it a lot.
Yeah, it is true because I know I have talent, but without perseverance, without that drive, you're just not going to get anywhere. Without that passion, you're not going to get anywhere, and that's what makes anyone successful in any walk of life. if you talk to anybody successful in whatever endeavor, they will. Everybody's story will be different, but everybody's story will have that same theme of, I just didn't give up. I just had to keep going. I just had to keep trying. Everybody's got that the same story, and that's mine. Just don't give up. Just keep going.
That's awesome.
Like the as a director, if somebody didn't like my work, I would just think, I like it. Well, why didn't you like it? I would really want to know why they don't like it. As a writer, I would be crushed if you didn't like it, which taught me, I guess I'm a director because I can take it.
Yeah.
And that's the perseverance part.
I love it. Bill,
Thanks, man.
dude, I'm so glad we got to do this.
Oh, thanks for asking.
Seriously, man. You're an incredible human being, and I can't wait to see all your next projects and all that good
Keep
stuff.
watching.
I will, man.
And I'm looking for you, too.
Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Michael, let's play us out.
Michael, let's play us out.
Thank you to all of our amazing listeners and new subscribers to the show. We appreciate you greatly. Remember, if you have an Alexa, all you got to say is, Alexa, play Adobe Radio at Thursdays at 3 p.m. And then boom, you can listen to me talk with some amazing people. Also, we have a Patreon page for Nice Guy Digital. This show is free. And if you guys feel like giving a couple bucks a month, you get all this extra stuff with all the Nice Guy Digital shows. There's like 4 or 5 shows on there right now. You get behind the scenes things. For our show, you get a book recommendation for the month, and you get a What Would Wesam Do? Personalized video. If you have any questions for me, life problems, relationship problems, I'll tell you what I would do. I'm not saying it's the best advice, but it's something. Anything else, Michael? Thank you, Adobe Radio, Michael, Peyton, Steph, William. Thank you again to all of our people on Instagram, Twitter. Seriously, guys, we do the show for you. Always remember to listen, think, and then talk.